It's the end of the week. It is time for your audience questions. You can send these questions in via voicemail, call 219-2-DAVID-P, or just leave them as an email. Go to davidpakman.com, click on Contact Us. First question is from Jared. Would you support a justice system that has no lawyers and is just a few judges who decide on cases, sentences, etc.? Lewis, didn't you at one point suggest something like this?
Well, I questioned the let me adjust my mic here. I questioned the jury system. Maybe there's not a better way to do things, but I thought that perhaps juries should be experts, trained, evaluated, paid,
which some countries have.
Right. And I thought that would be better than risking having a bunch of brainless idiots as a jury.
Yeah, so that's a different question, really, than the one we're addressing here. So let's address this one. No lawyers, just judges. So you don't have lawyers, but you also don't have juries making their case. Here's the problem with this. By the very definition of how this justice system works, judges don't go out and accuse you of crimes, right? The police, presumably, or other federal authorities observe or gather information about an alleged crime that you've committed. And they, in conjunction with the state, right, the district attorney, decide to bring charges forward. So if you're going to get rid of lawyers, in quotations, then who is bringing the charges, right? And then that's really where you get into the issue. Because if you said, well, the state brings the charges and the defendant, the suspect, just presents their side and a judge decides, I would be very much against that, because you have on one side individuals whose job is to put together cases to be presented, not to a jury, to a judge. And then on the other hand, you have someone who's just suspected of a crime. It is incredibly unequal. So in that sense, the defendant would absolutely need a lawyer. So then how do we get rid of all lawyers? If you're going to get rid of defense lawyers, you also need to somehow make the prosecuting entity not lawyers. And I don't know exactly how you do that, Lewis. Is it just, if the police see you doing something, the police officer who is accusing you of the crime shows up, and the person accused of the crime shows up, and both present their stories to the judge? I mean, even then, police officers would be trained in the law, and they would become almost kind of like proxy lawyers for their own cases. So I don't see a way in which you could have a fair and proper playing field for the defendant if you either have trained police who are in charge of bringing forth cases. They're not lawyers per se, but they would become lawyers in a sense.
And let's just say that these cases always come down to a decision being made by a judge, I don't know, maybe two judges. After all the stories we've covered about judges saying and doing completely outrageous things based on their racism or biases or whatever, I don't think that would be a solid system. I think people are too imperfect, and I think you do need to have something like a jury comprised of many people. I just don't think that it should be everyday Joes.
I mean, it could be a panel of 6 or 12 judges, right? I mean, then you're kind of mitigating in the same way that an individual juror could have biases. You're kind of mitigating that risk with judges as well. But you're making a good point, which is even if we could figure out a way to make the lack of equal representation fair, even if we could get past that, then I would question whether, if the idea is a judge, one judge decides these cases, I don't think I like that idea either. So Lewis, as asked, my answer is no. I'm open to persuasion from the audience if they can see a way to make this work.
Right. My answer would also be no. And I'm sure we'll get some feedback on this one.